Let me tell you something most people will never admit. You're not overlooked because you're untalented. You're not disrespected because you're incapable. You're underestimated because you're emotionally predictable. People know how to trigger you. They know when you'll react. They know what makes you defensive. And the moment someone can predict your reaction, they own leverage over you. But what if you became so disciplined, so controlled, so unreadable, that people started choosing their words carefully around you? Today, we're breaking down the real Machiavellian secret. Not manipulation, not cruelty. Discipline so sharp it makes people uncomfortable. Stay with me, because the last principle is the one that separates amateurs from dangerous individuals. Most people misunderstand Machiavelli. They think he was teaching people to be evil. He wasn't. He lived in Renaissance Florence, a city of betrayals, assassinations, collapsing alliances. Survival wasn't about being nice. It was about being controlled. And he noticed something. The most powerful people weren't the loudest. They weren't the angriest. They weren't the most emotional. They were the most disciplined. And discipline is terrifying, because discipline means you cannot be moved. Emotional control is power. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. If someone can make you angry on command, they can control you on command. If someone can make you defensive, they can steer you. If someone can rush you, they can outplay you. Most people react instantly. They clap back, they over-explain, they defend themselves in paragraphs, and in doing so, they reveal exactly where they're weak. But disciplined people? They pause. They don't give you the reaction you're fishing for. And that silence, that pause, it creates pressure. When you don't react, people start second-guessing themselves. When you don't defend yourself, people start wondering what you know that they don't. Emotional discipline is psychological warfare. And most people lose before they even realize the game started. Now here's where it gets deeper. Control your image, Matin, or someone else. Will Machiavelli understood something most modern people ignore. Perception shapes reality. People judge with their eyes, not with the truth. So if you overshare your plans, announce every move, reveal every emotion, complain publicly, you dilute your presence. Powerful people don't narrate their growth. They build quietly. They move strategically. They let results speak so loudly that explanations become unnecessary. Imagine two individuals. One constantly says, "Big things coming." The other disappears for 6 months and returns transformed. Who commands more respect? Exactly. Mystery creates gravity, and discipline protects mystery. But here's the part most people avoid. You cannot control others until you control yourself. You want influence? Control your sleep. Control your body. Control your impulses. Control your tongue. Most people can't even control their scrolling habits, but they want authority. Discipline starts where no one is watching. Waking up when you don't feel like it. Training when it's uncomfortable. Working when distractions are louder than ambition. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your internal authority. And if you don't respect your own standards, why should anyone else? Self-discipline compounds. Miss one workout, nothing changes. Miss 50, everything changes. Keep one promise, small shift. Keep 100, new identity. And identity is what people feel. When someone is internally structured, it shows. Their posture is different, their speech is slower, their eye contact is steady. That presence, it's built in private. Now let's talk about fear. Machiavelli famously said it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But people misunderstand this. He wasn't saying become cruel. He was saying, do not become dependent on approval. The moment you need to be liked, you become negotiable. You soften boundaries. You tolerate disrespect. You laugh at jokes that cross the line. Disciplined individuals don't chase approval. They enforce standards, calmly, without theatrics. And when people realize your standards don't bend, they stop trying to bend you. That's when respect shifts. Here's another layer most people miss. Patience is a weapon. Impulsive people are predictable. They react too soon. They reveal plans too early. They attack before they're ready. Disciplined people observe. They gather information. They wait. And when they move decisively. Think about it. Who's more intimidating? The person who argues instantly or the person who listens, says nothing, and responds only when it matters? Patience creates tension, and tension creates psychological dominance. When you don't rush, you communicate abundance. When you don't chase, you communicate value. When you don't react, you communicate control. And control is rare. Now here's the twist. This philosophy isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming unshakable. There's a difference. Cold people are emotionally numb. Disciplined people feel everything, but choose what to express. They don't suppress emotion, they master it. And mastery is intimidating, because most people are run by impulse. So when they encounter someone who isn't, it disrupts them. Let me make this practical. If you want to become so disciplined it scares them, speak less than you know, reveal less than you plan, react slower than they expect, train harder than they assume, disappear long enough to build something undeniable. Stop announcing, start executing, stop reacting, start observing, stop explaining, start elevating. And here's the final truth most people won't tell you. When you become deeply disciplined, some people will call you distant, some will say you've changed, some will feel uncomfortable around you. Good, because growth creates separation. And the version of you that required validation cannot coexist with the version that commands respect. So if you take anything from this, in a world addicted to reaction, be composed. In a world addicted to attention, be silent. In a world addicted to comfort, be relentless. Because the most powerful person in the room is rarely the loudest. It's the one who cannot be manipulated. And when people realize they cannot rush you, cannot bait you, cannot read you, that's when it happens. They don't fear your aggression, they fear your discipline. And that is real power.